Welcome back to the D3Hoops.com Classic from the South Point Arena in Las Vegas. I am Dave McHugh, and I'm joined by Chuck McBreen, which wouldn't be really that much of a surprise for those of you who know this classic well. Back for the fifth time in 6 tries, and after 2 games, 1-1. I know you're a little frustrated with that last one. We'll get to that, but overall, 1-1. I think that's better than you thought you'd come out of here.
Without a doubt. There's no doubt in my mind I thought we'd come out of here with 2 losses because I felt the level of competition was a little bit above where we're at right now as a program. But I think my players kind of surprised me a little bit. And obviously, once we were in position to win with 2 minutes to go today, I would have liked to got out of here with both of them and all. But on the overall, I can't complain, because we did play a good team today. And we were in position to win, and we just didn't make enough plays at the end. And the kid hit a great shot to win it.
You guys kind of went back and forth. That was a crazy game. I mean, it was all about streaks in the first half. Then it became just a back and forth game for a little bit later in the first half. Then the second half, St. Vincent seemed to be in control. You guys couldn't get over the hump. Then you finally do, and it's back to a back and forth game. There was no flow to that game whatsoever.
No, you know what? They did a great job of slowing us down. I would really like to get up in the 80s at all. And we tried to speed them up with pressure and all, but unlike yesterday's performance, we were able to turn over Skidmore and get the tempo going up and down and get it to a score that we wanted it to be, where today we weren't able to turn them over. And as a result, we had to play against that zone that gave us problem, the matchup zone on the overall. If you look at the numbers, I think we shot 37% for the game, and they shot close to 45%. And that was the difference. The free throws, the rebounds, the turnovers were all pretty close when I looked at the stats after the game. So the big difference was they got a number of layups against us, and we had to work for everything against that zone. Weren't able to get out in transition or turn them over. So the fact that we had to play against their zone, caused us to shoot 37% tonight.
You do have those numbers exact. You have them nicely memorized. Interesting. You get back in the game though, but you've got some fresh players, and now it seems like you're trying to figure out your lineup just a little bit. You got David Hay, who transferred in, a couple other guys who've come onto the program, and it seemed to me watching the 2 games, you're now trying to figure out what's the right lineup before you get into NJAC play.
You're exactly right. I mean, I told him before the tournament, I said, you got to bear with me because you're new to the program. Plus, I got my point guard that started all 25 games for us last year, Jimbo Long, and all back. He had sat out the entire season in a boot and all, and so he just came back. These were his first 2 games. So I got him back, and then we added a couple of guys at the break, and now all of a sudden we were only going with 8 guys before, and now I have about 12 or 13 that I could play. So it's still a feeling out process, but I'm glad we got the 2 games out here where I can get somewhat of a feel now going back. We got TCNJ, I believe, on the 6th, and then we have a tough Stockton opponent who's one of the best in the NJAC every single year on that Saturday, which I believe might be the 9th. So we have 2 tough games coming up, but this helped me to get a little bit of a feel of where we're at minutes. I would still like to get a couple of guys less. In my better teams, in my better years here, I try not to get anybody more than about 28 minutes. So it's something I got to figure out. I had a few guys that got over 28 minutes today, and I would like to get them off the floor so that we can wear the opponent down instead of wearing ourselves out.
Also looks like you're using a lot of different defenses this time around. I saw you in a lot of man. I saw you in some matchup zone, 2-3 zone, even maybe a 3-2. I don't remember off the top of my head. Also going out with a man-to-man full court press, a 1-2-2, or you kind of threw everything in the kitchen sink out at teams this weekend.
We did. We worked a lot on it. We played Rowan on the 12th, and we got whacked pretty hard. We were undermanned, but give credit to Rowan. They really smacked us good, and we had some time then from the 12th to get ready for this tournament and put some things in and change with the extra bodies, change our identity. And I told them our identity is going to be to play a lot of guys, wear an opponent down, try to press them and turn them over and create easy shot opportunities.
NJAC's always confusing, almost every year. Everybody thinks they know what's going to happen. This year it seems especially confusing. Stockton looks like they're going to be the class along with William Patterson, but even they've taken a couple losses. William Patterson, as we all know, certainly going through its struggles with the story there with the head coach, Rabimbas, and the forfeit right in front of you. I'll get to that in a minute, but just in general, the NJAC, New Jersey City out to a terrific start. You guys now have some fresh legs. Is this a free-for-all to the end?
I'm hoping for a while. Before the break, when we got 2 double-figure losses to Jersey City and Rowan, I was really down on my team, and I was starting to wonder if we could even make the playoffs in the NJAC this year. But now, with the team and the opponents we played out here, I think we can get into this race. I still think Stockton and Newark are the class with Patterson, but Patterson, the coaching situation is one thing, but they lost their foreman, who was a real good player, He won MVP of a tournament early. A kid named McLean, I believe I'm hearing he had a torn ACL.
Oh.
So, I mean, their 3, 4, and 5 were as good as anybody's in our conference. They had Mensa, McLean, and Bridgman, and now they lose McLean. So, you know, I don't know where that puts them, but now they've won some games without McLean, you know, before the break. So they're going to be there. And Jersey City has really been, for me, the surprise team.
Yeah.
Because he lost most of his roster. But now he got some kids that can play. The kid from Albright can play.
Yeah.
He hit 2 threes today. They were losing for the first whole 40 minutes to Buffalo State. He hit 2 threes at the end, one with 2 seconds to go to send it in overtime, which I believe they eventually lost in double overtime.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's a player. And they had a kid who hasn't played the last 2 years because his father wanted him to concentrate on his academics, a kid Wasu, who had 24 and 18 against us and absolutely killed us. So he's a player, and supposedly he got a transfer at the break. So I think Jersey City's going to be a player. So like you said, it might be a free-for-all. I just hope that we're part of that free-for-all.
I'm sure you would. And hopefully maybe another team comes out for the NCAA tournament. Quickly about that William Patterson game. I'm just kind of curious what went through your mind when you saw starting lineups and all of a sudden they said, hey, we're done, we're walking off the court.
I was in total shock. You know, as a coach and players, you get adrenaline up, you know, to play a game. You know, you go through the pregame rituals, and you're talking about all the stuff you got to do in the locker room to try to be successful. And then we get out on the floor, and it was normal. But, you know, I had a feeling it might happen at first. But then when I saw all the regulars get taped, it never dawned on me, you know, once I saw Bridgman, all these guys get taped, I said, we're going to play. So then, you know, we get out there. Both teams warmed up for 20 minutes. And then I always turn my chair. I don't know if you watch out here. Yeah. I face my team. We sit down. Yeah. We did that. And as I'm talking to my team, they start trying to talk. And me right away being the coach, I'm telling them to be quiet because I'm trying to let them know what we're about to do.
Right.
And they said they drop on their warm-ups at half court and walk into the locker room. So I said to them, focus, because they're coming back out. This is just like a little mini protest, and they're going to come back out. Next thing you know, the referees call me in, and Brian Chapman comes over with the referees. They take us away from the scorers table, more out onto the court. And Brian says, my kids have chosen not to play. So the referee turned around and said, well, I want to hear that from the AD. And the AD was sitting up in the stands with the vice president all. She came down, and I guess they confirmed it because the referee didn't want to leave the gym without hearing this from the AD. And he came over and said to me, listen, they're forfeit, they ain't going to play. So we were disappointed. There was no celebration, you know, nobody was happy in the locker room. We just got dressed and we got out of there. I had people there that were 60 years old that have been around basketball for 50 years, said they'd never seen anything like it. And I've been around, I'm coaching 28 years, I've never seen anything like it.
Certainly an unbelievable scene, even from afar. Let's lighten it up a little bit. You're back in Vegas for the 5th time in 6 years. And by the way, they're back next year, too. We are basically going to rename this the D3Hoops.com Classic, brought to you by Chuck McBreen. But I'm kind of curious. This one feels like you guys are a shorter stay than usual. You're getting out of Dodge almost immediately after we're done with this interview to fly home. Did you guys do anything while in town this year?
Well, we did. My staff, the staff and I went to see the show at Mandalay Bay 1 with Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Excellent show. I recommend it to anybody. I mean, in the past we went out here, we saw the Beatles show Love. So this year we went with the staff. We did want to play golf the one morning, but it was way too cold, so we had to cancel. Actually, on Christmas Eve and Christmas, it's 70 in New Jersey.
You should have stayed there.
And we come out to Vegas, and it's 27 degrees. And so I couldn't figure it out, but we had a good time. The reason why we're getting out of here, when you have 25, 27 people in your traveling party, and tickets are $100 to $150 cheaper for those amount of people, you're talking about saving $3,000 or $3,500. The trip costs us about $30,000 that we have to raise. So it was an opportunity. The guy got me a direct flight into JFK, and the flight was, like I said, $100, $150 cheaper. I usually use this night for the kids to stay here a little bit later, and then we fly out sometime tomorrow morning, but it just worked out this way this year.
It's Division III. Sometimes it is about the money.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming. Obviously, we'll look forward to it. And anything you miss this year, you'll get to see next year. So it's all good.
We'll be back next year.
Yeah,
I look forward to it. And thank you for having us out here.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for joining us as always. Chuck McBreen from Ramapo. Team finishes 1-1 out here, and they'll head back and now get into NJAC play.